Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television, here with Barry Brady, the Marion County Jailer. And on January 1st, 2012, a new phase of House Bill 463 went into effect, which has had an impact on local jails all around the state of Kentucky. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and how that is impacting in the jail, but also how it may impact the citizens of Marion, Washington, Nelson counties also. But first, let's start off talking about House Bill 463. This bill was originally started having phases in mid-2011. Is that correct?
Yeah, June the 8th of 2011. And, of course, Gary, the Department of Corrections and government had already started, like 2009 was the last that I've actually had a full count. And so there was a phase in ARIA initiatives put into place with programs to reduce the prison population and ways and thinking of ways to get prisoners out of jail earlier, or out of off their sentence earlier, and that was used with programming and giving good time. So there was a lot of stuff that was in place and was increased after 2009 to start that phase. And then we had legislators and they had a team that went together and put together this House Bill 463, which has its initiatives to reduce recidivism, reduce the prison population, and reduce the need for jail bed needs. And with that, it started. The actual bill went into effect June 8th of 2011. And so some of the initial phases, we didn't really see a whole lot from it. It initially, and it does allow for, like, our district court judges to allow bond credits and allow for community service credits, being that if an individual is incarcerated and he has a $1,000 bond, and if he's given community service credit of $100 a day, if he does, then in 10 days he could equally have matched his bond and be eligible to be released. So in essence, that would also on fines that individuals could, if they meet the criteria and it was approved through the courts or the judge, that they could set out their fines and then satisfy that with the courts. We haven't actually seen a large impact with our county count from that bill, but now we have of course, when you get typically in the winter months, all your counts, whether it's federal or state, mostly your detainee count, like currently my federal or my county counts, would have dropped down considerably. But in essence, I've lost a few of my state along with that. I mean, that population has also dwindled down. And then, of course, we're at the first of the year, 2012, and we have another phase of the House Bill 463, which is the mandatory reentry supervision. And this is inmates that have been approved, and they went through a classification process. They was typically going to serve out in 2012. So everyone that was released on January the 3rd would have been released in June. Okay. So they would at 6 months. So they got a 6 months reprieve. They got out earlier. Now the guys, it used the word may instead of shall on electronic monitoring. So I guess I don't know if the state did any electronic monitoring on any of these individuals. I don't think any of the ones that left my facility was put on electronic monitoring. They was just put under probation and parole supervision. And this has caused also the state. I know that they had to increase their workload for the probation and parole, as well as increase the number of officers, because that demand has increased now with that. So,
well, let's back up for a minute. So, a county jail doesn't just house county prisoners.
No,
you house state prisoners.
I have yes. Right now, we at this facility here we have Kentucky state prisoners, which are sentence prisoners. I have federal prisoners, military prisoners. I have Marion County prisoners and Washington County. Okay. So in the encompasses that 297 beds, and that's just whatever classification the inmate is where we're going to place. And we do have here and we've had in place since 2005 a substance abuse program, which is 40 beds strong, and it stays pretty full.
Is that in addition to the two?
No,
that's part of the two.
It makes up a part of that, and that was some of the initiatives again that have been put in over the years. I mean, the need for rehabilitation, the need for programs has not went. It's recognized there is a need, and it's a lot better than when we go into issues where we're just doing warehousing of prisoners. They do their time, they work their community service, and then they come to the release date and they're released. So it does benefit us to get them through some sort of programs that help to rehabilitate them.
Now, so you're talking there's different classifications of prisoners. This bill was passed in an attempt to cut down on the cost to the state.
To the state, yes.
Correct, because the state actually pays money to you for state prisoners.
Yeah, they pay a per diem for us to house their prisoners.
Okay, just for state prisoners or for
no, just
county
for state prisoners?
Just for state prisoners.
Yes.
Okay, but this will actually impact other classifications of prisoners as well.
Well, the bill they had several stakeholders at the table when they created the bill. There was, prosecutors, judges, county judge, some local government involvement, Department of Corrections, and so I guess the bill had to give a little bit to everyone party, all the stakeholders, so that they would get support. Mm-hmm. And so when they come to the local government portion of it, that was one of the things they looked at the bond credit issues on how we could lower our county count. How is which Marion County would be responsible for? Because I don't make any money on a Marion County prisoner. I mean, it's a cost to me because there's no one to pay you because it is your prisoner.
Right.
So in an essence, when the bill included that they could get bond credit and therefore then they could get out earlier, then it typically would supposedly reduce your county count, which would be somewhat a savings to the county government.
Okay, so the prisoners that you have, the county prisoners, you don't get money off of, but the state, the federal, the military, every other kind of classification.
Anyone else that's not tied to Marion County. Washington County pays us, but if they're
because Washington County doesn't have a jail.
They do not have a jail. They transport over here, and their numbers have been really good this year. I mean, they went down,
relatively speaking.
For them, it's been good. For them, it's been good.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how many prisoners? Basically, the monies that is contributed is for their room and board, in essence, for these prisoners, right?
Yes.
And it pays for the personnel and all that kind of stuff.
Personnel and your food service, medical services, and whatever you provide for the prisoner.
Because we've done a story before where basically a jail is kind of its own little city.
It's its own community.
Right.
It's definitely its own community.
I mean, they're living here and have all of what they need in this facility. What's your count as of today being January 5th? 240,
Gary. And I'm 67 beds empty today, and it's been since 2005 that we've seen these kind of numbers at Marion County, and for us to put a dollar figure to what does that cost Marion County if I was to stay at this count, like have 67 beds short for a 30-day period, it would cost $63,000. Is what it would be cost as far as, if I said cost, it would be lost revenue. Mm-hmm. I would, lost revenue. So typically then, you add it up over years and it adds up.
That's $63,000 a month.
$63,000 a month.